The rain hammered against the kitchen window like 1,000 tiny accusations, each drop distorting the glow of the street lamp outside into fractured halos. I stood there, coffee mug trembling in my grip, not from the chill seeping through the cracked pane, but from the hollow ache gnawing at my chest. Elena's eyes, those deep hazel pools I drowned in for 12 years, locked onto mine across the scarred oak table. Her fork hovered midair, a limp strand of pasta dangling from it like a noose. The air smelled of garlic and regret, the remnants of the dinner I'd forced myself to cook, pretending normalcy could stitch us back together. "We need to finalize the divorce by Friday," I said, my voice steady as the tick of the wall clock, slicing through the storm's roar. "So you can move on with him." She froze. Utterly, catastrophically froze. The fork clattered to her plate, sauce splattering like fresh blood across the white porcelain. Her lips parted, but no sound escaped, just a sharp inhale that rattled in the silence. For a heartbeat, the world narrowed to that. Her face paling under the fluorescent light, the faint tremor in her jaw, the way her fingers clawed into the tablecloth, knuckles blooming white. I'd imagined this moment 100 times in the shadowed hours of insomnia, rehearsed the rage, the pleas, the shattering. But not this. Not the way her eyes widened, not in denial, but in something sharper, recognition, laced with a grief that mirrored my own buried fury. I set the mug down, the ceramic clinking softly, a punctuation to the bomb I just detonated. Inside, my mind screamed, a whirlwind of shards. How long? Why him? Was I ever enough? But I held the mask, that calm facade I'd forged in the forge of quiet betrayals, because screaming would give her the power. And God, I wanted her to feel powerless just once. It hadn't always been like this. Or maybe it had, and I'd been too blind, too in love, to see the cracks spiderwebbing through our foundation. 6 months ago, it started with the small things, the kind you dismiss as the erosion of routine. Elena's laughter, once a melody that filled our cramped Brooklyn apartment like sunlight, had dulled to polite echoes. She'd linger in the shower longer, the steam curling out from under the door, carrying not just the scent of lavender soap, but something foreign, jasmine, faint and insistent, clinging to her skin like a secret. I remember the first red flag vividly. That Tuesday in April, when I came home early from the ad agency, my tie loosened against the spring humidity that turned the air thick as unspoken words. The living room was dim, curtains drawn against the afternoon glare, and there she was, curled on the couch, phone clutched to her chest like a talisman. Her cheeks flushed, not from a wine glass beside her, but from whatever screen-lit whispers had just danced across her face. "Just work emails," she'd said, flashing that smile, the one with the slight crook at the corner, the one that used to make my knees weak. I nodded, swallowing the doubt rising like bile, because who was I to question? We'd been married 8 years. Trust was our vow, etched in the gold band that suddenly felt too tight on my finger. But doubt is a persistent weed, rooting deeper with each watered excuse. By May, her late nights at the gallery, curating exhibits for up-and-coming artists, she claimed, stretched into the witching hours. I'd lie awake in our bed, sheets tangled around me like restraints, listening to the creak of the floorboards as she slipped in, her breath minty fresh, masking the faint tobacco tang that wasn't hers. She stressed. I'd rationalize in the dark, staring at the ceiling fan's lazy spin, its blades whispering accusations. The economy's tanking galleries. She's fighting for her passion. Love does that, twists logic into pretzels to preserve the illusion. I'd pull her close then, her body warm and pliant against mine, and for a fleeting moment, the world righted itself. Her head on my chest, heartbeat syncing with mine, I'd think this is us. This is forever. Yet the fragments piled up, each one a quiet detonation in my gut. The forgotten earring in her coat pocket. Not hers. The silver hoop too bold for her minimalist style. The way she'd flinch when my hand brushed her phone on the nightstand, snatching it with a laugh that didn't reach her eyes. "Paranoid much, Jake?" she'd tease, but there was an edge to it, a flicker of guilt that made my stomach twist. I started noticing the silences, too, the heavy pauses during dinner, her gaze drifting to the window as if searching for an escape route. And Mark, God, Mark, her colleague from the gallery, the one with the easy grin and artist hands that always seemed to linger too long on a canvas or her arm. I met him once at their holiday party last December. The loft space reeked of mulled wine and turpentine, fairy lights strung like veins across exposed brick. Elena had introduced us casually. "Jake, this is Mark, the genius behind the abstract series." And he'd shaken my hand with a grip that was firm, almost challenging, his blue eyes appraising me like a flawed sculpture. "Heard a lot about you," he'd said, his voice smooth as aged whiskey. "Elena's lucky." She beamed then, her hand on his elbow a beat too long, and I chalked it up to professional camaraderie, the buzz of champagne dulling the unease prickling my skin. But by June, the rationalizations crumbled. It was the password change that did it. I'd borrowed her laptop for a quick email. Our shared life meant shared devices, no secrets there. Or so I thought. Access denied. The words blinked mockingly on the screen. Her old code. Our anniversary, 071-52013. Rejected like a bad joke. My heart thudded, a drumbeat of betrayal echoing in my ears. That night, as she slept, her breath soft and even, I slid her phone from the charger. The passcode? Still our wedding date. But the messages? Oh, the messages. They weren't explicit, not at first glance. Subtle threads woven into innocuous threads. "Missed you at lunch today. That red dress. Killer." From Mark, time-stamped 2:14 p.m. Her reply, "Soon. Can't wait." My vision blurred, the room tilting as I scrolled, each word a knife twist. Photos followed. Her in that dress, posed against a gallery wall, his shadow just out of frame. Then, bolder, "Your husband's out of town this weekend?" And her, "Yes. Come over. I need you." I dropped the phone like it burned, balls surging up my throat. The carpet muffled my retreat to the bathroom, where I retched into the sink, the porcelain cold against my palms. Tears came then, hot, furious, mingling with the faucet's drip. How? When? My mind reeled, replaying every touch, every "I love you" from the past year. Was it the promotion I'd missed celebrating, buried in deadlines? The way I'd forgotten our third date anniversary, distracted by a client's meltdown? Or deeper, my own failures, the emotional walls I'd built after Dad's death, leaving her adrift in our marriage's quiet storm? Anger followed the grief, a red haze that kept me up till dawn. I wanted to wake her, shake her until the truth spilled out like shattered glass. But I didn't. Instead, I chose the slow poison of certainty. For weeks, I played the devoted husband, breakfast in bed, weekend hikes in Prospect Park, the crunch of leaves underfoot masking my churning thoughts. All the while, I documented, screenshots saved to a hidden folder, a private investigator's card burning a hole in my wallet. The PI's report arrived last Tuesday, a manila envelope fat with photos. Elena and Mark tangled in a riverside park bench at dusk, his lips on her neck, her fingers in his hair. The images seared into my retinas, each one a death knell. Guilt wormed in two, insidious and unbidden. Did I drive her here? Our sex life had cooled. Yes. Nights where she'd turn away, murmuring fatigue, and I'd roll over, staring at the wall, fearing I was losing my grip on desire itself. But love? That hadn't faded. It twisted now, a barbed wire around my heart, drawing blood with every beat. Denial crept in during quiet moments. Maybe it's a mistake. A phase. We can fix this. Yet fear loomed larger. The terror of emptiness, of a life without her laugh echoing in our halls, without her hand in mine during thunderstorms. By Thursday, the decision crystallized. Not in fury, but in a weary resolve. I couldn't be the fool anymore, patching cracks with denial while she built a bridge to elsewhere. The lawyer's paper sat in my desk drawer, crisp and final, inked with my signature. Friday loomed like a guillotine. Back in the kitchen, the rain eased to a patter, underscoring the void between us. Elena's face crumpled, slow as a wave breaking. Jake, how? Her voice cracked, raw and small. The artist in her stripped bare. No poise, just a woman unraveling. She reached across the table, fingers brushing mine, and I flinched, the contact electric with memory and pain. Does it matter? I replied, my tone even, though inside, a storm raged, waves of love crashing against cliffs of betrayal. The messages, the park, the password you changed because you couldn't bear me seeing. Her hand withdrew as if scorched, eyes filling with tears that traced salty paths down her cheeks. The clock ticked on, merciless. I didn't mean, she started, then stopped, a sob hitching in her throat. It was stupid. Mark, he saw me, Jake. Really saw the parts of me you stopped noticing after the miscarriage. The dreams I buried to build this life with you. Her words landed like blows, each one excavating old wounds. The baby we'd lost 3 years ago, a ghost that haunted our silences, widening the chasm I'd ignored. Anger flared, hot and unfiltered. So you fuck him because I grieved too quietly? That's your excuse. My voice rose despite the mask, fists clenching under the table, nails biting crescents into palms. Confusion swirled. Is this my fault? Her pain justifying mine? But no, the betrayal stood stark, unerasable. She shook her head, mascara smearing like war paint. No, God, no. It was escape, Jake. One night turned into, I don't know, but I love you. I chose you every day until I didn't, and I hate myself for it. Her confession hung there, laced with guilt that mirrored my own moral tangle. Hadn't I checked her phone, invaded her privacy, become the man I despised? We sat like that, the storm outside mirroring the one within, until she whispered, what now? Friday. I leaned forward, the table's edge digging into my ribs. Sign the papers. Take what you need. But Elena, my voice broke then, the calm shattering. I saw the text about the baby. His baby, her breath caught, a gasp that sucked the air from the room. For a moment, she stared, uncomprehending. Then horror dawned, twisting her features. What? No, Jake, that's not. She fumbled for her phone, hands shaking as she pulled up the thread. This was about us. Trying again. IVF consultations. Mark, he donated. Anonymously. For us. Because you couldn't. The world inverted. My pulse thundered, vision tunneling to her screen. Positive test? From her to him. Tell him together. He deserves that. Not an affair's secret child. A gift. A desperate act of love. Hidden because she feared my pride. My grief would shatter us anew. I'd assumed the worst, built my rage on shadows. I laughed then, a broken, hollow sound that echoed off the tiles. All this time, I thought. Heartbreak flooded back, purer now, laced with my own guilt. The divorce papers? Futile. The betrayal? Mine, born of doubt. Elena reached again. This time I didn't pull away. Her hand trembled in mine, warm and real. We fix this. Together. If you'll let me. As thunder rumbled distant, I nodded, the storm within quieting to a whisper. Trust, once shattered, could rebuild, brick by painful brick. But the scar would remain, a reminder that love's deepest cuts come not from enemies, but from the stories we tell ourselves in the dark.